Welcome back to Conquering Kalimdor. It's been a few weeks since I've updated a video. That's because, well, I lost a lot of my footage unfortunately, but this episode we're going to be going to Mulgore. However, before we do that, I wanted to show you some of the new changes that I made to my house. You can see I made my little stable area here even bigger, and I made a barrack for my followers. I even allocated a little spot here for a menagerie for when I get pets like this little bird guy right here. Moving on into the barracks, you can see Cromgar and all my other followers there too. But that's not all. I have now even more followers that I've trained between episodes. You just didn't see them because it was off stream. This is my house now. I've added a lot more decor around the main area. I've even added some more armor stands. The armor stands are set for female for some reason. They seem to reset every time I reload the game, even though I set them back to male again. I've got a throne with a bunch of gold piles and gold bars and silver. I even added this back room here, which is now my bedroom. There's not much here, as I'm not really planning on using it since I'm pretty much alone on the server. There's no one to roleplay with. But it's a nice little room anyway. Right here is going to be a prison. Now, even though you see some human models, there's actually no one in the prison because I have not captured any humans yet. Though the models that you see there are just placeholders from the actual item itself. I also have this troll here called Headhunter. I tamed him to be a cudgel holder. He will help me come and tame thralls. I also moved over my animal taming pen a little bit, so now it's closer to my base instead of further away like it used to be. Anyway, it's time to tame some more thralls. Even though I've already tamed a few, I felt like taming some more using that headhunter that I showed you earlier. Once I knock out my thralls, I brought them back now to my slave area. Yes, it's a slave area. I now have a mine where I can passively gain metal and stone. I also, right next to it, have a slave wheel. I don't have the big slave wheel because I'm not really getting many of them at a time. I did build one, but I gave it to my headhunter to hold for when we go and find thralls out in the world rather than in Ogremar. You see it right there in my inventory. But also something that I found out, so the head developer of this project told me that even though there's no volcanic forge, the mithril smelter actually smelts the obsidian bars without the need of the volcanic forge. So now I can make my obsidian composite. Therefore, now I can also make the mithril. While the mithril is cooking, I take the thrall wheel that I showed you earlier and a couple of new headhunters, and I head over to the Warsong Gulch portal. I planned on taming a Tauren. As I approach the Tauren, he didn't attack me right away because he is part of the horde, as am I. I get started, but I didn't really think things through that another Tauren would come after me, as well as a grunt. And the Tauren hit very hard. They're basically the elites of the horde side. I have to pull back and take a couple of potions and try again. I tried to pull one back to kill it so I could focus on the one Tauren without having to worry about being hit. Unfortunately, they backed me into a corner where I couldn't really roll or dodge or anything, and I got stun locked into oblivion and died. Once I returned back, I decided to try to pull the orc away to kill her first before I would tackle the Tauren. I waited a moment because I saw someone by the door. Once I got far enough away, I then pulled the orc. However, the Tauren from behind the door came anyway, who pulled the second Tauren. Great! Anyway, I tried to kill one of them, but they were not taking a lot of damage from my star metal bow, so I quickly run back to my followers. I managed to get rid of the orc, however the Tauren was still hitting pretty hard, and unfortunately one of my followers does end up dying here. I see the follower about to die. I try to run in and save it, but I had to keep backing up because the other Tauren kept hitting me. And unfortunately I was too late. By the time I got to him, he was already dead. I quickly pulled away trying to save the other troll by having him follow me. Also, something else that I noticed is that the Tauren unfortunately does not have a torpor meter, which means they are untamable, and that kind of really disappointed me. Anyway, I went back to the headhunter. I found what was left of his body, and I took it so, it didn't go to waste. I gave it to the other follower, and we just decided to head up out of there. This time, I brought everybody with me, and I gave everybody a Trojan. I put out my greater thrall wheel, because this time I intend on taking slaves. We head into the mine, which would have been the Venture Co mine in the Northern Barrens, if you remember. We've already conquered this cave before, so we head back in, and all of us now can tame. As all of us hit the orcs, they all go down really fast. I knock all of them out, and then go through them one by one to determine which ones I want. I even take out the Night Elf, and the Night Elf I did take with me. She will not become a follower of mine, but she will be going into that prison that you saw earlier in this episode. I take quite a few of the various orcs and trolls that I see around here. I tried taming up the elites as well, like this troll berserker, and there was also a couple of other orc elites and such, but they did not have any torpor meters either, just like the Tauren, so I just opted to kill them. I continued to fill up the taming wheel, and later on, I came home. Just for a little bit of roleplay aspect, I put the orcs that I had tamed up earlier, I put them in the pillars. This will teach them to never go against the horde. The Night Elf, I decided to hang her up as decoration in my house. I know it's a little morbid, but hey, I'm an orc, she's an elf, we hate elves. The last thing I wanted to do before I headed on to Mulgore was I wanted to check out the arena. If anyone remembers, there is an arena in Ogremar. I had completely forgotten about it, but while walking around Ogremar just off stream a little bit, I headed on in and noticed that there was a boss. I quickly went back and got my followers and came back and recorded. Then I jumped in to try to fight this boss. I didn't know how hard they were going to be. That portal in the back, by the way, just helps you go back up to the top, because once you jump down, there is no exit aside from that portal. The human goes down fairly quick. It was the wolves that took a while. I managed to stun lock one and take it out by myself while my followers took out the other one. She had some decent loot on her, a mystery bell, some scraps. I took the war paint as well, and of course the fragment. Now that the wolves have been taken care of, I head back out through the portal, and I make my way all the way to the Barrens, where you see now we're in Camp Tarajo. We've already explored Camp Tarajo in a previous episode where we explored the Southern Barrens, but from here we're going to be heading on into Mulgore. I didn't bring my horse because even though it would have been faster to ride on the horse down the road, when I get off to fight, sometimes the horse would go back home right away and it was kind of annoying. Also, I detoured over here real quick to see if the Moonkin Stone was there for the Druid quest. There was nothing over here. I didn't expect it to be, but I wanted to check anyway. If you don't remember, there's a stone there to kill a Moonkin. You have to do that in order to get your bear quest as a Tauren Druid. Once I headed on into Mulgore, the very first thing I see is a mammoth. So this is going to be the northern area of the map, basically. Even though we're south, I'm equating it to the north of the vanilla map. Because you also see behind the mammoth over there, there are some saber-toothed tigers. I rush right up and we take on the mammoth. It looks like the mammoths since the last time I played have been buffed. The last time I played this game, they were at 2,000 health. Now they're at over 4,000, so that means it would take me quite a while to fight. He also hit me a little bit hard, so I kept having to retreat backward to heal. My followers kept it entertained most of the time though I still had to dodge the charge every once in a while and the spin attack with its tusks. I do like that they made mammoths harder because when they were the strength that they used to be back when I played last, they weren't as hard and it was kind of disappointing because when you expect a mammoth fight, you expect them to fight back hard and they really didn't. They were as hard as maybe like a normal tiger in the game. Anyway, about 5 minutes go by and we finally bring down the mammoth. I was hoping I'd get a head from it, so I quickly switched over to my pickaxe to try to get one. And nope, I did not get a head. While running down the road, I saw a baby saber-toothed tiger, and I picked that right up. I was not letting that go to waste. Now we head over to Bloodhood Village. I headed over to the circle of warriors, and there were all trolls, not a single Tauren in sight, and I am already getting disappointed that there are no Tauren in the Tauren area. I know they're supposed to be elites and more rare, but still, I at least have some basic Tauren. They don't have to all be elites, because when you go to the Tauren area and there's no Tauren, it is kind of disappointing. Even where Bane Bloodhoof stands, there's a troll instead of Bane. It's like if that was the one area you wanted to have a Tauren, that's where it should have been. I head on inside of the tent, and there wasn't really anything except for a bunch of orcs flirting at the wall. I had no idea what the hell was going on here, but I did not want to stop and ask. I finally find a Tauren. It was like the one Tauren in the entire village. Actually, no, there were like 2 or 3 different Taurens, but still, it's better to just say the one Tauren. Because there's, you know, the other one right there next to some wolves. I did see the Mastodons, and I was hoping I'd maybe be able to, like, buy a Mastodon from them. Because as of yet, I don't think I've found one in-game yet. At least on this map. But they didn't sell anything, they were just fighters. I headed on to the crafting hut, and there were some crafters in there, surprisingly. While they're not Tauren, you still had alchemists, cooks, I think a blacksmith, and a tanner. So yeah, there were some profession thralls that you could tame. I put down my tent and my sleeping roll. That way, if I die, I can come right back here, just like I did in the Southern Barrens episode. That way I wouldn't have to run all the way back from Ogremar. I also put some food in the campfire, so if I get hungry, I would have food there right away. The first place I wanted to go in Mulgore, you know, besides Bloodhood Village, was all the way to the Red Cloud Mesa, where Camp Narache was. I headed out to the field where there was a ton of wolves, which that was to be expected since there's a ton of wolves in the normal map too, in the actual World of Warcraft. After running past all of them, I finally made it to the Red Cloud Mesa. I expected to find some more wolves and even some panthers. Well, it wouldn't be panthers, it would be the mountain lions. I didn't see any mountain lions where they should have been though, so I did get a little disappointed at that. I continued to check for the mountain lions, and I wanted to see if that one Tauren hut was there, but it wasn't. So I continued on to Camp Narache. Sure enough, Camp Narache was here. And there were no Tauren. There were humans? Why were there... Oh my god, they're going to attack me, so they are not friendly. As I ran up and started to fight them, it looked like they were Sumerians. Just like the Sumerians that you found all the way in Ratchet. Right above Ratchet where they, like, attack you for whatever reason. I did find a couple of named thralls, too, which was nice. But the only conclusion that I had was that they came in and killed off the Tauren. Therefore, I must avenge my horde brothers and slay all of the humans in Camp Narache. So that's what I did, and I went through and slaughtered every single human I found. Once the camp was cleared off, I determined that my job was done and I have avenged the Tauren. I turned to head south where I was going to look for the Quillbore area. I make it all the way to the cave, past a bunch of more mammoth, and I do find the cave. There were no thorns around here like in the actual map, so I didn't know what to expect, especially when there were crystals inside of the cave. So that means this area is going to be pretty much custom and not Warcraft-like. And sure enough, I was right. As I got to the very end, I see a motherfucking dragon and a sandstorm beast. Holy shit. The sandstorm beast caught me off guard. I tried to fight it back, but it hit a little hard, so I tried running back into the cave so my followers could fight it. And that's when I realized this cave was absolutely bugged. The sandstorm beasts and my followers had no idea what the hell to do while in this cave. They just could have stood around, because they had no idea where to walk or where to go. I thought that was kind of funny, but at the same time, I needed to kill these sandstorm beasts so I can get out of here. So I ended up having to kill them myself, but it took a while without the help. Once I made it through the cave, I looked around, and sure enough, black ice. The final ingredient to smelt my star metal back at home. Now that I finally know where black ice is, just like I said, I'm going to be able to smelt all the star metal I can find. I even see a bunch of obsidian, but there's a lot more obsidian near my house, so I didn't really go for that. There were iron and some other materials, but I was more worried about the dragons. I didn't know at that point in time if I was able to take on the dragons or not, so I avoided them. I did see more sandstorm beasts, so I headed that direction instead, since it was the road of least resistance. As I killed them, I did loot some of their glands. Even though I don't really have use for them, I took them anyway just in case. I really didn't get far in this area because I just continued to see dragons and the same materials that I see right there, such as the crystals, obsidian, and black ice. So, once I saw that red mother dragon, I'm like, no, I'm not gonna fight her, and I turned around and headed back the other direction. I figured I can come and fully explore this area later on. This is pretty much gonna be the end of this episode. I run back to Camp Bloodhoof, and I camped down for the night, because it was getting dark, and I was gonna wait until daytime in order to continue exploring. Which I did continue exploring right afterward, but this episode is already getting long, so this is where I am going to cut it. Stay tuned for part 2, where I explore the rest of Mulgore and I explore Thunderbluff. This concludes this episode of Conquering Kalimdor. If you enjoyed watching this, please subscribe, as I will be posting more videos on my adventures with this mod weekly. Like the video and feel free to comment below. Thank you for watching.